Quan and I at this time had actually discussed us separating because I really just didn't know what else to do. I wanted to keep Jack safe. Who the F did I raise age 13 and 14? Hi, if you're new here, my name is Yushima Cherry Burks, and I am telling about my experience with my son Mikey, who is now 18. And we're going to go back to ages 13 and 14. Uh, my experience with Mikey includes him trying to kill the entire family by poisoning us, setting the house on fire, jumping out of a second-story window, running away, stealing, and a plethora of other things. So it's all in my book, Picking Up the Pieces to 100 Broken Promises, how we've navigated the mental health aspect, all the different things that we've tried to help him, and where he's ended up now. When Micah was 13 and 14, he had the same behaviors, which is why I just combined that age. He continued to disrupt his classmates. He continued to run away from school. He continued to do all the things he was doing. It wasn't safe for any of us to be in the home, especially Jack, who was the most vulnerable. However, there is no law in Alabama, or there wasn't a law at the time, that would prosecute a child or put him in a D home or anything for attempted murder. Only had he succeeded in killing us all would he have been tried or given the resources at that time. He did end up finally getting the help that he needed when he turned 14, and he ended up inpatient. The last time he poisoned me, I got very ill, and the things he used, I think I put in my book. I don't really want to say it here because I don't want to give anybody any ideas about the different methods that he was using to poison us. We had no idea how he got access to these things. He was very resourceful, I guess you could say. So when Mikey was 14, he just continued to run away. He was violent. He had gotten a little bit bigger. He had gained probably about 20, 30 pounds because of the medication he was on. So finally, his case manager came over one day after he ran away, and he had been gone for almost a day at that time as well. And she finally said, "This is too much." And Quan and I at this time had actually discussed us separating because I really just didn't know what else to do. I wanted to keep Jack safe, and I started looking at different apartments for me and Mikey to live in, and Jack and Quan could live in the home because I knew that it wasn't sustainable. There was no way we would be able to keep ourselves safe, keep Mikey safe in that environment. And so, although we had been married, we weren't having any problems except the issue that we had in the last video that I discussed where I got arrested. Other than that, there were no issues in our marriage, but it just shows you how mental health issues or psychosis or just having someone in your home that means you harm can disrupt the dynamics of the whole home. And so we had actually discussed who was going to move. I said I didn't mind moving into an apartment or a smaller house or something for me and Mikey. And right when I started making those plans, Mikey had attempted to kill somebody at school. He took a knife to school. And the school was like, he can't come back here. Now, mind you, he's in the alternative school at this point. There's nowhere else for him to go. Once you leave alternative school, it's just homeschooling. And I was working full time. Quan was working full time. There was no way we can homeschool. And this was pre-COVID. They weren't doing the virtual situations, right? So it was just one of those things where we were like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I didn't want to quit my job. I'm a therapist. I work very hard to get to where I am. My husband loves his job. Of course, he's not going to be a stay-at-home dad. Definitely not with Mikey, right? So it was just one of those things where we hit a brick wall. And of course, we're a praying family and we're a believing family in the Most High. And we just prayed, like, Lord, show us what to do or fix it. You know, we don't know what the next steps are. So after he took the knife to school and he was continuing to threaten to kill us, his caseworker came and said, this is not a safe environment. And I was like, I know, because we have heard this before, but this was a new caseworker. She was like, no, what I'm saying is this is not a safe environment for you, for Jack, for Quan. Mikey shouldn't be here. He's getting older. He's getting bigger. He needs to be inpatient somewhere. And that was the first time I had really considered living separate from him long term. But I knew there were no other options at that time unless I lived with him alone in an apartment building by myself. And I knew from the history that we've had that I would not be here today. Had I moved into that apartment, I knew that he would have succeeded in killing me because it would have just been me. I had actually written, and I don't think my family knows this, but I wrote everybody goodbye letters in the case of Mikey succeeding. I wrote everybody a letter just telling them how much I love them and apologizing for everything they had been through. And in the case that somebody found me, my bank statements and life insurance and all the other things that my husband would need to know in that case, right? I had, at the time, I had gone up on the amount of life insurance I had on myself. And I just wanted to make sure my family was taken care of. And I think part of me had made peace with the fact that this is probably inevitably going to happen, especially because I was so ill and I didn't really know what exactly was wrong with me. I just knew that he had been putting something in my drinks and in my food. Um, but when you have things in your system, different things, mixed together, it can really cause issues. And I said I wasn't going to put the details of what he put in my food, but that's just the beginning. It's so much more that he had done, and I did put it in my book, Picking Up the Pieces to 100 Broken Promises by Yushima Cherry Burks. So yeah, that's how Mikey ended up in a facility at age 14. When he finally took that knife to school, he continued threatening us. I was still very ill. He got a new caseworker, and she came in like a wrecking ball, and she was like, "Not today, Satan." And I really think that was my Creator, the Most High, answering our prayers. I think that was Him answering our prayers, because we would have not survived a separation, literally, um, at the hands of Mikey. And it's what he wanted anyway, because he wanted to do anything he could to disrupt our lives in any way that he could. And that would have been a perfect segue for him to have his way. Again, check out my book. If you have any questions or comments, put it in below. But I encourage you to check out the rest of the series so that you can get more information. I do have more videos to do because, like I said, he's 18 now. And we did go visit him regularly. And there's just different things that we've discussed from the time that he's left home until now. And I actually had a meeting with his caseworker today, right before this video. And I will talk about that more in a later video. So thanks for watching. Be safe.